So in our early journey on our awakening path, we recognize that we get lots of things wrong, lots of common misunderstandings that happen, isn't it? Whether that's because there's so many teachings out there, or because perhaps we just don't quite fully understand things in the right way yet, and that's okay. It's part of the path. But today we're going to talk about 3 things that we've definitely got wrong about the spiritual journey. So we're all open to making mistakes, to misunderstanding things once in a while, isn't it? Because that's how we grow. That's how we learn through this process of life. But also, it's sometimes great to have somebody just highlight to you where we might have got some things misunderstood or malaligned inside of ourselves. Perhaps a friend just a little bit further on the journey than you can always point towards these things, and that's really helpful. So if you'll allow me to be that friend, I'll do it. But before I do that, I want to just bring your attention down below to some of the free offerings that we have. There's a free breathing practice, a free community for awakening souls going through this journey, and there's also a free introduction to Hatha Yoga. There's also some paid options. In fact, there's really only one main one. There's a couple more on my website, but there's one main one that I'm trying to bring people's attention to, and that's the 6-month immersion program. Spaces are very limited. There's only about 4 left. Because I like to work with a small group of people so that I can really dive deep into and facilitate their awakening journey to the best of my ability. The application for the form for that is down below. Back to the video. The 3 biggest things that we've got wrong about the spiritual journey, especially when we start. It's good to know these, so I'll just throw them out there. Number 1, we think our actions are our free will. Sometimes we have parents, right, that do certain actions and we go to ourselves, gosh, I'm never going to be like them. I'm going to make sure I act differently and I teach my children differently. And so we think the common denominator here is to change our actions. If we change our actions, our life will change. And in a way that is true, but at surface level, because at the start of our journey, we don't have free will of action. Isn't it? How many times do you say to yourself, I'm going to go on a diet, and you don't? How many times do you say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to go out with meet with this person. All right, this involves another person, but you don't do it. It's because we don't have free will of action. So the question is then, what do we have free will over? Well, let's look at actions, right? For it to be free will, I have to have the free ability to be able to do an unlimited amount of it right now. Can I do an unlimited amount of actions right now? The answer, your ego might say, is yes. And the answer in fact is no, definitely not. Right now, I am limited by my physical body. My actions are limited. I can only really, right now, speak to this camera or touch the microphone. Anyone listening? Or touch that water bottle, or look at my copper mug. You see, they're quite limited in the way that they can represent themselves now, or in the way that I can do them right now. I can't shift now to skydiving, can I? And so we because I'm here, so we recognize that free will isn't where our unlimited potential is, where our unlimited free will is. No, free will is a little bit deeper. Now, is it true that we can become the creators of our destiny? Well, in a sense, yes, we can. And does that require free will of action? Well, in a sense, yes, it does, but it's not where our free will starts. Our free will starts in our response. I can respond however I like right now, inside of myself, to this moment, isn't it? And through that response, if I give a good response, likely what will come from that is a decent action. If I keep thinking negatively, I'm going to probably make lots of negative actions, isn't it? And then I am still creating my destiny, it's just a negative one. If I have lots of lovely responses to life, then in a sense my actions are likely to be lighter and more positive, help me attract and talk and communicate with people that are of that vibration, and therefore I can create my destiny in this way. But it doesn't start with actions, it starts with our response. It's an inner game, and this is why we do the yoga, the sadhana, isn't it? To begin changing how we respond to life, to completely rewire our brain so that we can stop responding in the way that doesn't serve us. The second thing that we may have wrong about the spiritual awakening journey is that we think we have to control our thoughts and our emotions. And what I say to you is, good luck. We can't control our thoughts and emotions, can we? Like I mentioned in the last one, and this is so important, all we can really control, and what we do have true, infinite free will and control over, is our response, isn't it? So let's say a thought comes in, because sometimes we can't even say, you know, I'm the one thinking this thought, isn't it? Who is this one? You know, and does it change? Yes, it does. So is it me? No, it isn't. But here's a more fundamental question for us. Why is it that sometimes thoughts just come? And sometimes they're really obtrusive thoughts, isn't it? I was speaking to a client earlier, and she was saying, my mind keeps thinking about suicide. And it's like, yeah, my mind once said to me, Jamie, you could go and kick that dog. And it's like, it's relevant, cool, thank you, mind, but does it have any relationship to me? And the answer is, for some of us, yes it does, because our identity is completely linked into the mind, isn't it? And when we think it's me talking these disastrous thoughts or crazy thoughts, oh, well, then we cause pain for ourselves, and we react, we respond to the mind in a negative way, and therefore it proliferates negativity. It gives more power to that ego identity, doesn't it? And it gets bigger, and then we feel in more pain and more powerless. But if we respond to the mind with gratitude and just say, okay, fair enough, thank you. Yes, I could kick that dog, but I'm choosing not to, but I could do it. Thanks, mind, I appreciate that sentiment. Very lovely, you know. It's a bit like this, isn't it? Our free will is in our response, and if I respond in that positive way, then I'm free of the pull of the mind, and then I'm free to choose a positive next response, which could then be an action, isn't it? But it's not completely free. I only still can now keep speaking my next words. But after this video, with another positive response, I could then get out my laptop and think, oh yes, I want to go skydiving. Then I can start creating steps towards skydiving. But right now, that action isn't possible for me. Our free will is in our response, not in our actions. You can't control your thoughts and emotions, just try. You can't. Sometimes they come out of nowhere and they're so obtrusive that we react in such a crazy way. And it's like, oh my God, is this me? Is this imposter me? Well, no, how can it be? Because I'm the one observing the me in the mind. Do I have a split personality disorder? Of course not. No, we don't. It's just this way, isn't it? So don't worry, you don't have to control your thoughts and emotions, because that can be exhausting to believe that we have to do that, isn't it? But we can control our response, and if we want to, it's a great opportunity to then bring more freedom into our life in our response, because in our response we become. If I respond with anger, I become angry. If I respond with joy, I become joyous, isn't it? The freedom's in the response. The third thing, and this is quite big, but it might seem a little bit abstract as I say it here, but it is important. It's that we let our current understanding limit us. Now, I remember at the start of my journey, I would settle into what we call, you know, dynamic stillness in yoga, or beingness, or presence, or the now, or however you want to describe it, right? We get the concept. And then we go beyond the concept, don't we? And we actually connect to it, because concept is mental. And so we're in beingness. But right at the start of the journey, that beingness doesn't feel like bliss or ecstasy or excitement or passion or fun or joy, does it? It just feels quite tranquil, quite spacious, quite still. But this begins to develop as we go. But we can limit what the potential is for us, which is bliss, ecstasy, excitement in that feeling state of who we are, by saying, I am not feeling this bliss that you're talking about right now, and therefore this all must be mumbo jumbo. It's never going to happen for me. Do you see what I mean? We limit our now experience by what we're experiencing now, and then we limit the potential in the future with our current understanding. Your mind, love you, has no idea where this journey's going. None of our minds have any idea where this journey's going. And the more we deepen into our nervous system and become more sensitive, the more joy naturally there is there, the more excitement, the more bliss, the more fantastically juicy our nervous system feels, our beingness feels. And that comes because of the training. But nothing ever worthwhile in this life was ever done easily. It requires hard work. We have to earn that bliss, earn that excitement through our practice of sadhana. That's why there's never, and if you fall for these, that's okay, but there's never a get rich quick scheme. You know, like there might be for some, but it's not truth. You know, we have to work hard for these things and develop these skills and abilities. Maybe sometimes we say there's the lottery, and that's an option. But if you're on this path, you know, I would imagine that the lottery is not going to be something that you win. Why? Because life doesn't quite work like that. If you're on this path, you need to learn some stuff, isn't it? I direct that at you, but I don't mean it. We need to learn this stuff. I only know this from my own experience, isn't it? Sometimes we have things to learn, and you know, having a lot of money makes us more of what we already are. Trust me, if you become wealthy, it will exaggerate your bad points. Guaranteed. It happened with me. I'm not rich at all, but as soon as you get a little bit of money, a little bit of freedom in your life, it will exaggerate your bad points, and you'll go, oh yeah, no, money does not make me rich. It makes me more of what I am. If I'm ignorant, I'll become more ignorant. If I'm an addict, I will become more of an addict. It will magnify the issue that we're currently dealing with. All right. Don't limit yourself with your current understanding. Trust life and the journey and the process that it has for you, even if right now it doesn't look the way you want it to. I hope this video helps. That felt good. Namaste.